Did you notice anything weird? Neither did I, or the police. But comments like this, and this, and this were used by Russian agents to send encrypted messages for years. And the story of how they did it begins in a small German town. Andreas and Heidrun Anschlag were a regular Austrian couple living in a quiet German town called Marburg. Andreas was a car engineer while Heidrun stayed home raising their daughter. They were well liked by their neighbors, who described them as polite, friendly, and trustworthy. But what their neighbors didn't know was that all of this was fake. Their names, their passports, their jobs, everything. You see, Andreas and Heidrun were actually Russian spies working under deep cover, also called the illegals, a special class of intelligence officers trained to live false lives abroad for years, sometimes decades. Their job is to blend in completely, new names, new languages, fake backstories. They marry, have kids, and hold down jobs, just like Andreas and Heidrun. But while everything looked normal on the outside, their situation was actually very risky. Illegals don't work out of embassies, they have no diplomatic plates, no immunity. And if they get caught, that's it. No help, no backup. Basically, they're on their own. Maybe you've heard of Anna Chapman, part of a ring of Russian illegals arrested in the US in 2010. The Anschlags were part of that same strategy, just in Europe, and they avoided detection for over 2 decades. While living their quote-unquote normal life, once a month, their mole from the Dutch Foreign Ministry would leave them a collection of classified documents, usually on a USB stick, that Andreas would go and pick up from a previously disclosed location. Initially, they used traditional spy tools like shortwave radios and encrypted files, but by the late 2000s, they found something better. The internet. It was loud, chaotic, and full of noise, so they adapted. They moved their communication to a place no one would expect, YouTube. And, of all places, they picked Cristiano Ronaldo highlight videos.
Moves inside Ronaldo!
So, why YouTube out of all places? Well, unlike private messages or encrypted apps, the comments on YouTube are not monitored in the same way. Sure, YouTube flags the obvious stuff like hate speech, spam, and certain keywords, but not seemingly regular comments or responses. So basically, as long as they didn't violate YouTube's TOS, they could comment pretty much anything. And why Cristiano Ronaldo highlight videos? Well, have you seen the comments? Thousands of people yelling in all caps, spamming emojis, and arguing over Ballon d'Ors. No one's really paying attention or watching closely. But with that many comments, how did they find each other's messages? They had a system using predetermined usernames, timing, and placement. One of those usernames was Alpenkuh1, meaning alpine cow. And the replies came from Kremlin-linked usernames like Cristiano footballer. They also agreed on general rules in advance, things like check the replies under the second most liked comment every Sunday between 8 and 10 p.m., making everything look like regular fan interaction. Before we get into how the code actually worked, if you like these type of stories, please consider subscribing to the channel. I just hit my first 100 subscribers, so even a comment or a like helps way more than you think. So, back to the comments. How do you actually hide a message in a YouTube comment without anyone noticing? For them, it was all in the punctuation. Let me give you an example. He's playing like the devil. Nothing out of the ordinary, right? But if we break it down further, it has 3 dots, 1 question mark, 3 exclamations, and 1 more question mark. It gives us this sequence, 3, 1, 3, 1. But that's just the first step. We then take those symbols and convert them into numbers using a system both sides already agreed on. So maybe it's dots representing 1, question marks representing 2, and exclamations representing 3. Now that same sequence turns into 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, 3, 3, 2. Then we group those into pairs, 11, 12, 33, 32. Then match those numbers to letters using something simple like a Polybius square or any custom grid they agreed on. So 11 becomes L, 12 becomes E, 33 becomes F, and 32 becomes T. And the word is left. And that's it. This type of simple encryption allowed the Anschlags to send messages to the Kremlin for years. And while the actual method they used has never been publicly disclosed, it's widely believed their messages followed a similar logic using pre-agreed symbols. As crazy as it may sound, this type of tactic has actually been pretty common in modern history. Not the Ronaldo part obviously, but using everyday apps to hide secret messages. One of the most notable examples comes from ISIS communicating in online shooter lobbies. They join the same game, meet in a private match, and use in-game chat to send coded phrases.
Bomb has been planted.
Others have used Craigslist, hiding messages in missed connection posts that looked romantic but actually referenced meeting points. Some even used Amazon product reviews, writing things like, "This item arrived as expected, just like the last time in Istanbul," which sounds like a customer review but has a hidden meaning. The point is, hiding in plain sight works, because if something looks normal enough, nobody's asking questions. Andreas and Heidrun Anschlag were eventually arrested in October 2011. They were convicted in 2013 and quietly deported back to Russia by around 2015. The case was widely covered in the German press due to them being undercover for over 20 years. But the use of YouTube was just discovered in a 2025 intelligence memo quietly released by European security officials. And the weird part is, media investigation revealed a suspicious account named Alpenkuch1CT that popped up in early 2015, posting using the same pattern. So next time you scroll past a comment saying something like, "Oh my god, he plays like a monster," ask yourself, is it just hype? Or maybe it's a message that was never meant for your eyes. Anyways, thanks for your time and see you on the next one.